Okay. To all of you that don't know me, I am Sarah Velasquez. I am the communications coordinator for the Kansas NIH. For some reason, I am very green today, so I apologize for that. I will see if I can find a better camera. So I, being the communications coordinator, you'll probably hear from me, you'll probably get emails from me, all of your mentors get emails from me, and I manage all the social media, all of our systems that you can see that I was talking about at all the campuses, and I do various other tasks for grants management and scholarship and research. So you will probably see me or hear from me often. So if you need anything, then you're welcome to email me or contact me, and I'm happy to help out in any way that I can. Hello, Dr. Burnett.
Hello, Sarah.
Glad you could join us.
I'm 1 minute late, I'm sorry. But I'm getting good at connecting to this
There
thing.
you go. So today we have Dr. Wright presenting to us. He is the principal investigator for the Kansas NIH. So he'll be giving you an overview of the NIH and a little bit about the expectations that you will have with the NIH. And so I guess we can get started, Dr. Wright. And please mute your microphones if you can while he's speaking, unless you have a question for him.
All right. Well, let's see. I need to share my screen, right? Don't I? Okay. Okay. So as Sarah said, my name is Doug Wright. I'm going to try and give you a shortish overview of the particular program that you're involved in. This is a interestingly complex way to give a seminar. I get zero feedback. So if you have questions, please jump in. If you can't hear, let me know. If I have something in my teeth, let me know. That would be helpful. And at the end, we'll have a little more time for questions if you have any. So what I'm going to do is try and change my slides. Sorry. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our program. Unfortunately, when you work with the federal government, you end up with a lot of acronyms, and so I'll try and be acronym light. But the Kansas KINBRE program I'm going to talk to you about today is a long-standing program. And what I'd like to convey to you guys is how you can participate, how you can take an advantage of that. Because most of you are involved in research, there are opportunities to increase your participation and present your data. Part of what our goal is to build a network of researchers, and so we hope that throughout this process you're interacting not only with other people on your campus, but you're interacting with other campuses as well. There's some logistics that we need to sort of cover in terms of when you're successful within your research and you get ready to publish your first paper or your 100th paper, how you can help the KINBRE program out. And then there are lots of ways on social media that Sarah's involved in that I'll tell you about at the end. It's a great way to stay connected, to get updates, and to see what's happening with the KINBRE program. So why am I speaking to you guys? I am the director of this particular program since 2011. I'm currently a professor in the Department of Anatomy and Cell Biology at KU Medical Center. I'm in my 21st year being a faculty member here, and I'm a neuroscientist by training. So most of my research that I have an active research program. Most of the research that I do is neuroscience related. Particularly with the peripheral nervous system, and that the function of the peripheral nervous system is to bring in information to the body. So we study sensation and in large part pain, because that's one of the most important aspects of the sensory nervous system is to convey pain. So I wouldn't say I'm a pain researcher, but most of what I do is related to pain research. As I said, I'm the director of the K-INBRE since 2011. I took over from a very talented lady, Dr. Joan Hunt, who built this particular program and allowed me to step in and take over. Of note, if you're interested in graduate school, I'm very involved in the graduate programs at the KU Med campus. I'm the co-director of the neuroscience graduate program, which is a joint program with KU Medical Center and KU Lawrence. So I have graduate students in my laboratory. I've been training graduate students for a very long time, and I'm involved in directing the graduate programs. And so if you have any questions about the graduate programs across the state, or particularly here at the Medical Center, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. A new position that I have, Sarah, you probably don't know this, is that I've taken on a position as Vice Chair of Research for the Department of Anesthesiology. I'm a basic scientist, but I also do clinical research, and this new position that I've taken on will be a goal to build research in a clinical department and help them build clinical trials and profiles. So the picture on the lower right is actually my view outside my window of my office. That is the new health education building on the KU Medical School campus. That's where the medical students, nursing students, graduate students, most of the students take their classes. In this particular building, it was built, it was finished a year ago. The surface that looks very green in the lower right is actually a living roof. Below that are the large conference rooms where most of the medical students should be going to class. I don't think they go to class. I think most of them podcast the class. But that is a large conference room right below that, and they have a living roof over top of that. So it's a pretty nice view from my office window, and it's a beautiful building. If you're ever on campus, let me know and I can give you a tour. It's absolutely spectacular, and it's has tremendous technology associated with it. All right, so a little bit about the program. The K-INBRE, which you guys are a part of, and first of all, let me take a quick survey. How many students do we have? Raise your hand if you're students. So we have lots of students. How many are faculty? So we do have a couple faculty. I'm going to address most of this talk to the students, but certainly if the faculty have questions, let me know as well. The K-INBRE program is part of a larger program that it is funded through the National Institute of General Medical Sciences. So NIH, the National Institutes of Health in Washington, D.C., has many institutes, and the National Institute of General Medical Science is one of many of those institutes. And so we are funded out of that. NIGMS, or the National Institute of General Medical Sciences, receives its money from Congress, and that money is distributed. And so we are receiving federal funds to do this. And the particular program that we're involved in is called the Institutional Development Award Program, or the IDEA program. You'll hear me say that a number of times. The IDEA program was unique because it was established in 1993, and the goal of that program is to help states that are in the lower half of NIH funding. And so Kansas is one of those states. We are one of 23 states that are eligible for this funding, as well as Puerto Rico. And we are eligible because we're in the lower half of NIH funding. And a large reason that we are in the lower half is we just don't have the population. We don't have many big research-intensive institutions. And so just by our population, we will be in the lower half. But this program was designed to help support states because there's a lot of great science in these states, and you can see the map of the eligible states down below, all in blue here. And the goal is to increase our ability to compete for research grants and our success by providing support and infrastructure. And so that's essentially what our K-INBRE program is designed to help support research. And another big component, which you are a part of, is to develop a pipeline for training new researchers, to provide opportunities for students to get engaged in research, to learn about research, to get a feel and determine whether that's something that they're particularly interested in. So as all NIH federal programs, they're complex, they're big. Our IDEA program has 3 components. One is called a KINBRE component, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. Another program is a newer program called the Clinical and Translational Research Center. This is designed to help promote clinical research in the IDEA states. And then we are part of the KINBRE program, which is the IDEA Networks of Biomedical Research Excellence, which is a long way to get to say the word KINBRE. And because we're in the state of Kansas, we are the Kansas KINBRE, or the K-INBRE as we often call it. So as I mentioned, you can see the states that are eligible for IDEA funding. All of these states have an KINBRE program. We work very closely with all of these states to coordinate that. So I'll just talk briefly about the Cobras, just because you may be aware of them, or you might be interacting with them at your particular institution, or you might want to have access to those particular Cobras. These are smaller multidisciplinary grants that strengthen institutional research at the major institutions. And by major institutions, I mean Kansas State, University of Kansas Lawrence, and KU Medical Center. Their primary goal is to support and help young faculty members get started in their research career, to provide them core services. That's a big component of what the Cobras are designed to do. And so you may have been interacting with a Cobra-supported center that provides core services for research. And if you are interested in that and want to find out more about the 7 current Cobras that are in Kansas, we're happy to provide that information. Of those 7, 3 are in Lawrence. 1 new one is in Kansas State, and then we have 3 existing ones at KU Medical Center. And they're all quite diverse. They're focused on a particular research area, but all of them are really heavily invested in providing core services for researchers across the state. It's not simply just at their institution, but it's across the state as well. So we can provide information about those different Cobras if you're interested in that. As I mentioned, we are the Kansas KINBRE. And we have the goal to develop a research network within the state of Kansas. So there is only one KINBRE in Kansas. It's housed here at KU Medical Center. And our goal is to strengthen the research and infrastructure across the state. We want to enhance the science and technology knowledge of the state's workforce. And we want to promote coordination and sharing of resources. And so NIH recognizes that every institution is not doesn't have the resources to do that. And our goal of the KINBRE program is to provide a network that helps you be successful in your research, helps you reach out and communicate with other researchers, find you the resources that you need, and help provide training to be successful at securing NIH grants. And as I mentioned, one of the big goals is to develop a pipeline. It's very important that we continue to introduce research to students with the goal of having them become interested in research and potentially becoming researchers for life, which is something that all of us, most of us, are doing. And so our job is to help develop a pipeline from the state of Kansas, and the summer scholars and STAR trainees and all of student opportunities are part of this component to build and strengthen our research workforce as we move forward. A little bit about the Kansas KINBRE. It began in 2000. It had a different name called the Kansas BRIN, but most importantly, we are in our 18th year. So we are, this is a very long-standing program. We're currently in years 14 through 19 of our funding period. And we have submitted a renewal application for another 5 years that will be reviewed in October. And hopefully we'll have positive outcomes for that and continue to have this program operate for another 5 years. The KINBRE programs are required to have a theme and our theme is loosely focused on cell and developmental biology. And we've chosen that theme because there are strengths across the state that are in cell and developmental biology, and also using a very broadly defined theme, we can include as many researchers in our Kansas INBRE program that we can. And as I'll show you in a minute, our network includes 9 universities in the state of Kansas, and we actually have one university in Oklahoma, Langston University, that is a valued partner in our network. So the way our program works is that we have really close relationships with all of these universities. KU Medical Center, as I said, is the home, the lead institution, as they call it. And then we have 2 other graduate partners. KU Lawrence and Kansas State University are considered graduate partners within our network. And then we have 7 other universities that are considered undergraduate partners, and that includes Emporia State, Fort Hays State, Haskell, Indian Nations University, Langston University in Oklahoma, Pittsburgh State, Wichita State, and Washburn University. And all of these universities have been in our network since the year 2000, are incredibly valued partners for us, and we've been able to establish a really strong network with the cooperation of faculty and administrators across the state of Kansas. And so I think this is a huge strength of our particular Kansas INBRE. We've had long-standing partners and great relationships with all of the universities, and I just want to tip my hat to all the campus coordinators and administrators that continue to allow us to partner with these great institutions. And I have had an opportunity to travel all across the state now and visit all the institutions, and they're all, I'm always super impressed with all of these institutions. So the K-INBRE supports research in many different ways. It's actually we're actually quite a complex program. We have programs for faculty to help build their research, and listed on this slide are a number of different opportunities. And I want to remind all of the campus coordinators that calls for these applications for these funding mechanisms will be coming out later this fall. But our goal is to provide bridging support if a faculty is close to getting funding from NIH or other sources. We provide core facility support. We provide mentoring awards, recruitment packages to recruit new faculty to the state of Kansas. That's something that's very important, and it's very hard to compete with other states. And so we want to help financially be able to attract really talented faculty to the state of Kansas. As you advance throughout your career, you may be doing a training component called a postdoc. A postdoc is usually completed after you've completed a PhD. And so we support postdocs at that particular level. And then we also support young faculty with developmental research grants. And so this is, again, another part of that pipeline, supporting postdocs and young faculty as they get started in their research career. And most of these awards are related to financial support, or to help buy equipment, or to support a facility, or many other different mechanisms that we have. So it's very broad ranging, and there are lots of opportunities for faculty and postdocs to apply for funding in this particular program. Relevant to the students, we have a huge focus on student development, and most of you that are sitting in on the seminar are part of that student development component. And probably, if I had to step back and say, what is the strength of our particular program, it's that we have done a terrific job supporting students throughout the years in terms of introducing them to research and having them actively participate. And I want to thank all the campus coordinators for all your hard work. You know how valued you are out there, and I want to say thanks again. We have a number of different mechanisms, and the students sitting in probably are part of these. STAR trainees and semester scholars. You might be a bioinformatics scholar. We have opportunities to begin to be involved in translational research as a translational research scholar. And then we also have some community-based research scholars. So there's lots of different flavors of these research experiences, and hopefully you're all benefiting from these, or will be benefiting from these throughout the semester and into the summer. So one of the things that's of note is that we have been able to support a lot of undergraduate students over the 18 years that we've been involved. And in fact, I think we're probably closer to 1,300 undergraduate students that have been supported by K-INBRE. So you can imagine now that we've had an opportunity to really introduce opportunities in research to a lot of different students. As you guys probably know, you come from very diverse backgrounds and very diverse experience in terms of research. And so hopefully you'll get to experience that this year, to be involved in research, to really begin to work with a mentor related to your research projects. And then as you become successful, you'll have, as I'll tell you in a minute, opportunities to present, to network, to perfect skills that are really important in being a scientist as you move forward. So one of the things that we can do is we can start to assess how we're doing with students that are involved in research. And this is one of the things that you'll be involved with Sarah. Sarah Velasquez will be pestering you relentlessly about information, about how the process is working. And we collect a lot of data associated with that. And as you can see, for example, we want to know where, what your background is, what your research interest is, how is our state, how can we fit our program to the state's representation. And so you can see the breakdown of students. And this came from a survey in 2017 that Sarah did. Ultimately, one of the major goals for the undergraduate research experiences is that we're really introducing you to a new arena. And what we want to do is help you prepare for the next step, whatever that is, if you're an undergraduate student. And so if your goal is to then go on to professional school, whether that's veterinary school or graduate school or medical school, does this program help you in terms of educating you about possibilities, helping you prepare, helping you gain the right experience to apply for those next steps? And so as you can see in this survey from 2017, a large percentage of the students that were involved in the K-INBRE program really felt much better about their understanding of graduate or professional school and the preparation for that. And as you will sort of be involved or may have already been involved in, these research opportunities are great for your resume. If you can get a publication out of your research, if you can participate in meetings, present posters, present oral presentations, these are all terrific things that help prepare you and help prepare your resume for professional school later on. And so one piece of advice that I would give you right away is start working on your resumes and keep them up to date. All the things that you're doing and are involved with are really important. And I would suspect that Sarah is probably going to help provide you some education this year in terms of how to do those sorts of things and how to prepare for the next step. So that's ultimately our goal. And we encourage you to participate as much as you can in all of the different activities that we are going to provide. And all of these are designed to help you prepare for the next step. One of the things that we can do is also measure, are we having an impact? And this is work that's has been published now nearly 5 years ago by Dr. Chapes at Kansas State University, as well as Sarah Velasquez, and it sort of illustrates the impact that we're having within the state and helping students identify whether a career in research or medicine or some STEM-related field is important to them. And so, again, this will be part of what we do is collect data. I'm sure that Sarah has probably already really been active in terms of making sure that we have contact information, and we'll be asking you questions throughout your experience and as you graduate from these K-INBRE programs, about your preparation and where you're at in the process. We don't function alone in the state of Kansas. As I mentioned, our programs interact very significantly with other programs across the country. And as part of that, we are part of a region within the central United States called the Central Region Idea States. And we work very closely with South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, and Oklahoma as a region. There's a lot of interactions across that. There are a lot of opportunities to interact with research communities in the different states, and we encourage you, if you need help with connections across the state, or if there are faculty members that need help with those interactions or networking, we can certainly help you in that aspect. As part of that, this regional sort of organization, all 5 of the Central Region states participate in a Central Region Idea States meeting. It's a scientific meeting that moves from state to state every other year, and we now have new information that the next meeting is going to be in Oklahoma City in next June 12th through the 14th. Our Kansas INBRE usually takes 20 to 50 people to those meetings, and so if you're so inclined and want to travel to beautiful Oklahoma City, we can probably help you with attending that meeting and participating in that. And again, it's a great way to network across states. It's a great way for students to learn about graduate programs that might be in Omaha or Oklahoma City or Sioux Falls or Fargo or wherever you might be interested in going. It's a great way to talk to faculty. It's a great way to talk to students in those different states and learn about the research in those particular areas. So as a general theme, you'll see networking is very important in science, and we encourage you to interact with as many different people in science as you can, both at the faculty and graduate student and undergraduate level. And so these meetings are very student friendly. Most of the times you'll find that there's lots of opportunities for the students to participate in presentations, oral presentations, poster presentations, and these are really designed to be very, very student friendly, and we'll encourage you to participate. I will be headed to Oklahoma City in June, and look forward to seeing all the folks that want to travel down there with us. Just as a heads up for the faculty, I think the next regional meeting will be back here in Kansas in 2021. So just a heads up that we'll be putting that together for 2021. In addition, Kansas is fortunate to be very involved at the national level. And as part of that, our Kansas INBRE staff is involved in putting on a national meeting every other year. And so in 2020, we will be organizing and hosting a meeting in Washington, D.C. on June 21st through the 23rd in Washington, D.C. And this, again, is an opportunity for students and faculty to travel to Washington, D.C. and be involved in a very large scientific meeting to present posters and oral presentations. And again, we encourage Kansas K-INBRE participants to travel with us to Washington, D.C., be involved in the meeting and present your data. And again, this is a great way to network across the country. As I said, there are 23 states that participate in this. There is very, very basic science. There is translational research, and there is clinical research. So you get the whole gamut of research at these particular national meetings. And we encourage you, if you're so inclined, to travel with us and participate in this particular meeting. So just a quick summary of the organization of the K-INBRE. The administrative core carries a huge load in terms of managing this particular grant. We have a lot of oversight from external advisory committees and the steering committees, and our 3 main cores are listed here below. The communications core is what Sarah is part of, and this is an integral part of building that network, communicating across universities, identifying our successes, and as I'll talk about that in a minute, that's very important. We're using federal funds to carry out research, and so it's very important for us to show the federal government how successful we are being. And so Sarah is involved in a lot of different aspects of communications, which is a very important part of science that we all need to get better at. Dr. Gustavo Blanco from the Department of Physiology here at KU Medical Center oversees our mentoring core, and that has a number of different programs that are designed to provide mentoring, really strong mentoring to young faculty and to other young trainees in terms of helping them be successful. And then you might have interacted with folks from our bioinformatics core. This is led by Sue Brown at K-State, Stuart McDonald on the KU Lawrence campus, and Devin Kessler here in Kansas City. This core is designed to provide support for bioinformatics aspects of our research, to help train faculty and students, to introduce them to bioinformatics, and also provide core services for those. So those are the three main cores that our K-INBRE houses. And then we have within the administrative core our really important undergraduate research office, in which we administer all of the research opportunities that are involved in this. So Sarah, just as a note, I almost am leaning back to the old logo. This is our new logo that we made together, but I really like the old logo. We'll have to have a debate about that. Maybe we'll do a survey to see what people like best.
Too late.
Sorry, I knew that was coming. It's too late. All right. We already paid for the new logo, so we're sticking with it. All right, so here are some very helpful people that you might be involved with over the next year. As you can see, my name is not on here. I'm not that helpful. These are the key people that you'll probably be interacting with. John Stanford is the program coordinator, which largely means that he's second in charge. He bosses me around, and he is really heavily involved in the undergraduate research opportunities, particularly here at the medical center. Hayata Chapman, you might interact with for administrative deal aspects, if you need a reimbursement or have questions. And ultimately, I would say that Hayata probably is the most knowledgeable person that we have in the state of Kansas. She's been with the program since it started. She helped build it, and she is a terrific administrator, and she has or can answer every question that you have. I don't know that she's ever come up with a question that she can't answer. So please use her as a resource. She's terrific, and she's one of the most friendly people that you'll ever meet, and very, very helpful. And then we have Sarah here, who you'll be interacting with quite a bit. And Sarah is in the part of the communications core, but she's heavily involved in almost every aspect of what we're doing, and she'll be very interactive with you in terms of helping you prepare, helping you become educated about research, as well as collecting information from you about how it's going. So any successes that you had, you can send them to me. Any complaints that you have, send them to Sarah. I think that's a fair estimation of how things work usually, right? Sorry. All right, so just another terrific resource for all of the students. At each of the campuses, we have very talented campus coordinators. These are faculty that are participating in leading your particular institution. I suggest all the students to become very familiar with their campus coordinators and to really use them as a resource for all things research related, career advice, personal advice, whatever advice you need. These are the folks that have a terrific background in mentoring, and I encourage all of you to really use these talented people. This slide is a little out of date, but I think almost all of the campus coordinators on here, and most of us look much younger than we actually are. So this must have been a Photoshop document, right? All right, so as a student involved in the program, what do we help you gain from participating in this particular program? We hope it's a great year. We hope that all of your research projects go well, that every experiment works. I can guarantee that's not going to happen, but hopefully you can learn from your mistakes, design better experiments, get better tools, and begin to be successful in your research projects. And we want you to be very, very interactive with us, interactive with the people around you, with your mentors, with your campus coordinators, and interactive with the people in your laboratory. This is really how you learn about the research environment. And so sitting quietly in the corner in your own silo is not going to be a successful strategy. We want you to break out of that silo, talk to people, ask questions, learn about different aspects of research, and that's really that is incumbent on the students. You guys need to do that. Be interactive, take advantage of this great opportunity to be involved in research, really build a good friendship with your mentor. One of the things that you'll need later on is a letter of recommendation for whatever you do. And building that strong relationship with your mentor is really critical. And this is the time to do that as you work over the next year. Sarah probably will be after you about contact information. This is a really critically important aspect. So don't be shy with your contact information, because if you are shy, Sarah will find you. She'll track you down and she'll get the information that she needs from you. So we'd love for you to provide us all the information, and ultimately you may hear from Sarah 10 years from now about how you're doing and you're leading a successful business, and we want to hear about those particular successes. As I mentioned, I really want you to communicate with your research mentors. Have a dialogue. Talk to them about their research. Talk to them about what they do every day. Talk to them about the pros and cons of the job. What's the most fun? What's the least amount of fun for them? This is your opportunity to really pick their brains and build that strong relationship. You'll need letters of recommendation later on. This is a great opportunity for you to interact with faculty and learn about what they do, or learn about other aspects or other options that may be available to you as you progress throughout your undergraduate experience. Certainly, we need to be informed about compliance. Compliance is a really important aspect. We need to be safe in the laboratory. We need to make sure that the things that we're doing are approved, and compliance is a really important aspect. So please check with your mentor about whether you're approved to do research, what kind of training do you need, what are the expectations that you have as a researcher, and that you're adhering to safe practices for doing research. I want to make sure that it's a very positive experience for you, and there's lots and lots of opportunities to become educated about how to do research safely in a laboratory, and we want to make sure that is all taken care of. So if you're not sure about that, please ask your mentor, have I been trained in all the aspects that I need to be trained in, and that they can help you with that. We want you to share your experiences with the other student researchers, not only just at your particular institution, but if you have opportunities to network across institutions, we'd love for you to do that, or across states, or even nationally. We want you to interact with other students. That's really how you learn about other opportunities, what students are doing, how they're preparing themselves. So sharing those experiences is critically important. We want you to present your research at the local research forums that you might have on your particular campus, as well as the statewide symposium. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. These are great opportunities to talk about your science, to develop skills that are really important as a scientist, to convey the importance of your research and what you're doing, and how it can impact animal or human health, or whatever you're doing. These are great opportunities. Never turn down an opportunity to present a poster, a talk. These are terrific skills that you'll need to develop, and these are great for your resume, honestly. As you build that, as you do more and more, it's going to really enhance your resume as you apply for programs down the line. Please provide us feedback. Our program is not perfect. We've been in operation for a very long time, but we recognize that we can continue to improve. So if there are things that aren't working, please, as I said, any complaints go to Sarah. Any positive things just be happy to send them to me. But honestly, we're really always looking to improve our particular program, and we encourage you to provide us feedback. We would love for you to share your successes. Turns out that this is a really difficult task for scientists. We're not great at self-promotion, and we need to get better at that, both orally and in different formats. And so if you have something that you're really proud of and successful, you've been received an award, you've published a great paper, you've given a great presentation, please share it with that. Please share it with Sarah. Part of our goal is to collect information about successes and convey that to NIH, to the National Institutes of Health. They want to know that these programs are having an effect, and the best way to do that is to share our successes with them. And if you're a student and your mentor publishes a great paper with you involved or not involved, please tell them to share it with us. They're not great at that. I'm terrible at that. I've gotten better over the years, but it's difficult to sort of brag on your science when you're most interested in doing the next experiment. But you have to take time, step back, share your successes, tell us what you've done really well, and we'll happily convey that information to NIH. We want you to stay in touch. As we mentioned, part of the pipeline development is understanding how your research experience as an undergraduate influenced you at the next step, but then also later in your career. And so we encourage you to stay in touch, and I'll show you how to do that with the program. There are lots of ways to sort of do that and just stay in contact with our particular program. And then hopefully this will be a very fun experience for you. I'm hoping that all of you have a great opportunity and experience throughout the year in your research programs. As I mentioned, not all experiments are going to work, and science is hard, but be persistent, keep asking good questions, and most important, have fun. Science should be fun. My particular lab, we work very hard on celebrating our successes because most of the time, probably 80% of the things that we do are somewhat of a failure. And it's because we didn't ask the right question, or we didn't have the right tool, or the humidity's too high, or 1,000 different reasons why something didn't work. But when they do work and they really provide you some insight about a biological system or some particular disease, it's a great thing, and you should celebrate those. And that's part of what we do, is we really want to recognize that when you do have success, it's important to recognize that and to have fun and to celebrate. So I encourage all of you to have fun, and hopefully you'll have a great experience throughout the year. As I mentioned, we have opportunities for you to participate in a really large and fun symposium every year. This is held in January across the state every year. This is our annual K-INBRE Symposium. We are scheduled for January 18th through the 20th of this year, and that will be held at the Overland Park Sheraton again this year. It's a great venue. They have great facilities. It's easy to get in and out. If you're involved in research, and we encourage you and your mentor to attend and present, and you'll get lots of information throughout the year. This fall, we have deadlines for abstract submission and other sorts of things. This has become one of the largest research symposium in the state. This last year, we had over 300 attendees. It's a great opportunity to present your work either in poster format or an oral presentation in front of a relatively large audience, which might sound terrifying. It is a bit terrifying for me still, but it's a great way to have an opportunity to build those really critically important skills. As you'll see, if you attend the symposium, we really try and focus it on the students. We have a lot of students attend, and it's really geared for undergraduate, graduate, and postdocs in terms of their participation. If you're interested in potentially going into industry, we do have biotech participation in it as well, and we have opportunities to be evaluated on your presentations, and lots of awards are also provided to recognize really good science. So you'll see much more information coming out. Our administrative core is currently building the agenda. We've got a number of speakers in place, which is good, and we'll be continuing to provide information to you guys throughout the course of the year. Okay, so almost done. I want to sort of remind you that it is very important to remember that the research that the resources that we're providing are provided by the National Institute, which is federally funded. And so it's very important, as I mentioned, to sort of keep track of our successes, what we're doing, how we're using those federal funds. And so we are assigned a grant number, which is P20GM103418. That number turned out to be really important because that's how NIH links productivity, papers, and other sorts of things, grants, with our particular grant. So if you do have some successes and you're publishing a paper with your mentor, there will be an acknowledgement section, generally at the end of the paper. And we would absolutely love you to include that number with your research paper. That links that at a national level to our particular grant and allows NIH to recognize, where research was supported. And so if you get a chance to do that, hopefully you'll get to list the grant numbers that were supporting your research, and that's a really important part of what we need to do as a requirement for NIH. So how can we interact with the KINBRE? There are lots of different ways, and as part of our communications core, Sarah is responsible for managing all of these social media platforms. And so we have a brand new website. If you haven't been on it, I encourage you to click on it. It's KINBRE.org, and it's a beautiful new website and has lots of information, lots of fun information about funding opportunities, and there'll be a lot of information on that for the upcoming symposium. We have a Facebook page that is very active. I think that I looked this morning, we have 526 followers. If you're a student and you get an opportunity, hop on the Facebook page, give us a follow. It allows you to sort of see, and you'll probably see a picture of yourself on there at some point. Sarah and I manage a Twitter account, and we're tweeting on a semi-regular basis, particularly when we're traveling around or have meetings. It's a great way to see information about scientific developments. We do post a lot of pictures on Instagram, mostly of Sarah's face. There's selfies. No, we don't. There's lots of pictures of the meetings and students, so you'll get a chance to sort of see you. We encourage you to join our LinkedIn group. This is a great way to stay in contact. And this allows Sarah to be in contact with you through a different mechanism. And then we also post videos and other sorts of things to YouTube. We have our own YouTube channel. Is that the right word, channel? YouTube channel, yeah. That we occasionally post. So lots of different ways to interact with us. We're constantly sharing information about different aspects of research across the state, as well as within the region and nationally. And go on Facebook and give us a follow. Do we have our own Snapchat, Sarah? We do not. We have done occasionally Snapchat filters. Is that correct? Yeah. All right. Okay. So that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take questions from anybody, comments, criticisms. If you thought Sarah's screen was too green, let us know. And if there are any particular questions, please let me know. And I'm happy to interact with, answer questions, and help you guys throughout the semester. So thank you.
Thank you.
There's Pittsburgh State.
Someone has to have one question. Tim, do you have a question?
Hey, Doug. So I know that you're involved with your involvement with the graduate program at KU Med Center, and you're also involved, or at least have been in the past, involved with medical students. What are some advantages of being involved in INBRE that might help them to gain admission into graduate school or medical school at KU?
Very good question, and not a planted question, by the way. As I mentioned, one of the things that your participation in the KINBRE will bring is some recognition that our program is very well known. So for example, when undergraduate students from the state of Kansas who have participated in Kansas KINBRE research apply to graduate school here, and that's listed on your CV, there's instant recognition by the admissions committee. They know that students that have gone through this program have had a lot of opportunities to participate in research, and that is a huge bonus. So we do have very good name recognition, and that's true for medical school. I do interviews for the medical school for admissions, and we see students all the time that have research experience through the KINBRE. A lot of the opportunities, again, are great for resume building. These are the things that talks, presentations, papers, travel to meetings, participation in meetings. These are all great resume builders for the next step, particularly graduate and medical school. So that's a real benefit to participating in this program. There's name recognition. It is designed to help you be more successful in getting into the next step. And as I mentioned, maintain your resumes, your CVs, your curriculum vitae, as we call them, and make sure you're including all of these activities on your CV. This is really important for your applications. And so there is a real benefit. We see lots of students that are applying to graduate schools that have been involved in the K-INBRE. In fact, I just had a conversation with a student this morning from Pittsburgh State who was interested in graduate school and had been a STAR trainee at Pittsburgh State. So there are real benefits to having that, and as not only within our state but also other regions there. Other states recognize the INBRE programs really are really terrific at helping prepare students and giving them an advantage. So if any of the campus coordinators want to weigh in on that, please let me know.
Well, Doug, I'll tell you that in molecular biosciences at KU, we've taken several students that have been K-INBRE students from our partner institutions. So that is definitely true. We look at that very, very well. That we know that the students in this program are getting excellent training. Yep.
Yeah, we are in the same boat. Our admissions committee to our graduate programs absolutely recognize students that come from the INBRE programs and may have already met them at a local, state, or national meeting. So it's a real opportunity to interact with those folks.
Hey, Doug, this
Yes.
is Wright State. I don't have a question. I just wanted to make a comment, and the reason I'm making the comment is to re-emphasize what you said that I think is one of the most important things for students, and that is that 80% of what you do in the lab doesn't work. And I think students come in expecting everything to work, and they see the presentations, and when they first start, they think, well, why does that person have so much to talk about and nothing I'm doing is working? And if they hang on long enough, things do actually work some of the time. So thank you very much for making that part of the talk, because I think it's one of the critical things, particularly for students who haven't had any experience in research until they start out in K-INBRE.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, that's a hard thing to learn when you're getting started in research, and persistence is an incredibly important feature about research, and asking questions and understanding that biology is really complex. And so just because your experiment didn't work is not the end of the world. There are, you know, think about all the things that, you know, all the variables that might be need to be adjusted, or you know, were you looking at the right time points, or were you asking the right questions, or using the right tools? And so this is a big part about learning to be a scientist, is really to open your mind, think outside the box, be prepared for failure, and take failure in stride, and because it's going to happen a lot. And so all of the experienced faculty in the room, I think, you know, if we were honest, we show, you know, in presentations really great data, but it doesn't show all of the failures that we had to get to that particular point. And that's a really important part of learning about becoming a scientist. And this is an opportunity at the undergraduate level to really, you know, learn that process, and to learn to ask really the next question. And usually when we do an experiment and it fails, it leads to a bunch of other questions. And so that's a great part about it as well. I really enjoy that aspect of it. Thanks. That was a great point. Anybody else have a question? Well, if you're ever in Kansas City, please stop by, shoot me an email. Always happy to say hello to folks. And if you need help throughout the semester, please let me know. We're here to help you guys, and we hope you have a great semester and have lots of fun in your laboratories. So,
Thank you guys for participating.
Thank you so much, Doug.
thank you.
One more time, thank you, and then we're good.
And
I would
Thank you for
add to you that are
participating.
still here that
we hope to see you next month. Hopefully we will have somebody speaking about careers in biomedical research outside of academia. So if that's something you're interested in, then please join us next month. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.